Hi and welcome to this demonstration and presentation of Meiro pipes. We are here today to give you basically a showdown of what we can do with your data as you are collecting that from different sources, devices, and how to actually organize it for your customers and then how to route it to somewhere else. So let's start right away with what is Meiro pipes. We have built this to be basically a Swiss Army knife for managing the events that your customers are producing, meaning every time they open up a browser or their mobile application, you send them email or they receive a push notification, you want to know about it, you want to collect the data, you want to create the profiles that are describing your customer, and then act on it and maybe save it in the data warehouse or send it to Facebook, to Google Ads, to TikTok, or do anything else that you need to do with the data about your customer that are being processed with identity resolution and extracted with the knowledge about the customer. So let's start with the primitives, with the founding blocks, with the Lego blocks that you can actually use to build your pipes. Let's start with the sources, because those are like how you get the data inside, right? So in the terms of the sources, we do have three very important types. The first one is that we listen for the data. So we can see that we have SDK here, we have different webhooks and server-to-server communication. And when you set it up, and you can set up your own webhook integration, you are basically listening for the data. So anytime something happens on the Meiro.io or Meiro.store, we will receive that and you will see the data in here. We can also categorize the data into event types and have validation on it. So we can make sure that the data that is coming in is actually of high quality. And we can build profiles out of the data with the identity resolution. So this is the part where you listen for the data from webhooks, from the server-to-server events, from the mobile application or web or anything else. The second part is a situation where the data is not coming to you, but you actually need to reach out for the data. For this, we have actually something called Cloud Apps. And this is actually an implementation of HubSpot, where we are reaching out for the data that lives somewhere else, and we are using a REST API for that. You can see that the source is quite easy to do. Our AI assistant Piper can actually help you with that, but we also do provide the templates for the most used data sources. And the way how it works is that you set up simply an interval. You can assign secrets, which are encrypted, and you can give the source an access to the secret, like HubSpot's token. And then every 16 minutes, or every minute, every 5 minutes, every day, depends on you, you can actually reach out for the data over the REST API, load it, and store it in Meiro pipes, and then activate it and route it. Last but not least, again, we are reaching for the data, and it is to the data warehouse. So when we take a look at the data here, you can see the BQ contact. So it's a BigQuery table where you can write a simple SQL, or you can have Piper actually help you write it, and you can load any table, convert it into events, validate it, create the identity, and store it and activate it, route it to your destinations. So it really doesn't matter where your data is, you will always get it into the pipes. You can listen for it, you can reach out for it, and you can load it from the data warehouses. Now let's move to the other side of the spectrum. Those are destinations. And we have very simply two types. The first one is event destination. Because when you are loading events like page views and add to cart and clicks and send emails, you want to maybe route it into Facebook conversion API or Google Ads or anywhere else like Mixpanel for product analytics. So you simply select the template or you build your own event destination, and whatever comes goes to the event destination. However, there is a second type of the destination, which is called profile. And this is a place where we can actually send the whole profile of the customer, of the profile, to the destination, meaning that anytime the profile changes, so for example, your customer V, like me, gets a new event like page view or add to cart, you want to maybe take the whole profile and send it to CRM or store it in the data warehouse, you can do it very, very easily. So only two types of the destinations, one for the event, one for the profile. Now, the most exciting part, right? How it comes together is in the pipes. This is a small instance, and you can see that I have here pipes that are taking the data from the sources through the transformation, where you can filter and transform the data so the destination understands it. And then you can send it to the event destinations here or to the data warehouse. So we actually are able to not only source the data from the data warehouse, but if something comes from the mobile SDK or web SDK or webhooks, we can take it and store it back into your data warehouse, creating a single source of truth. So this is really nice because I will switch to a different instance where we have more connections. You can actually take the data from one source and send it to multiple different destinations. And at the same time, you can have one destination consuming data from multiple sources. And because you have the transformations in middle, you are actually able to transform the data so the destination can understand it all. So it's a very powerful way on how to map all the inputs to all the outputs and filter it and transform it along the way. The same thing goes for the profiles that we are building using the identity resolution, where I can take and, for example, take all the profiles that have been changed and send it to some decision engine or create a custom audience or send it to the CRM or the Mixpanel. This was very, very top level overview of the features. Now, I was very academic and I will hand it over to my colleague who will explain how to actually apply all those things to the real use cases. Over to you.
Thank you, Vito. My name is Sondra, and I'm in charge of marketing here at Meiro. So I'll show you a couple of real examples how we are using our own product for our own marketing, because after all, marketing is my job. So although Meiro Pipes is more geared towards technical user, if you're in a situation where you are in charge of marketing and you need data flowing from one place to another, this could be pretty easy to set up even for non-technical persona, just as me. So let me walk you through it. One of the key sources for us is the web SDK. That's the piece of code that runs on a website. Actually, we implemented it through GTM, Google Tag Manager. And you can already see that we have a couple of pipes connected to this source. The source is installed in pretty easy way. You can see the docs. I can just copy and paste the code into Google Tag Manager, or I can ask Piper for help. So for example, if I get lost and maybe it's too much code here for me, I will just ask Piper and it will provide. The other important thing here is that I can see all the events which are pre-set up in the template. I can create my own as well. And you can see here we have event form start, for example. I did create some custom events as well, because for us, it's important to understand how people not only move through our website, but how they interact with our forms. We are B2B business, so for us, the lead is the most important conversion. But I also want to understand whether people are dropping off the forms, how many fields they filled, and understand their behavior and react to it. And with pipes, it's pretty easy because I can set up these events straight up on a web page and then collect them using this web SDK. Now, once I have these events collected, I can route them to various destinations. One example would be Mixpanel, which we can use for analytics. So I'll go here for destinations. And again, Piper here can help me set up Mixpanel destination. Actually, it's pretty useful when I create a new destination. And in case I will not find the template here, or it's something very exotic, what I used, I can just drop a piece of documentation to Piper and tell it, okay, create a new destination for me based on this. The only thing that Piper will not touch, and Vita already mentioned it, is the secrets. So I will have to store the secrets here in authentication section and then call the secret from the destination, which Piper can do also as well if I tell him to. The only thing it cannot do is connect the secret directly because it doesn't have access to any secrets. Now, if I have a destination in Mixpanel, then the first thing I will see, of course, are events. As they are ingested from the website, I create a pipe, and the pipe from here will lead into Mixpanel, and that's events delivery. If I go now into our Mixpanel instance, I will see just a list of events. But I can use also the other type of sync, which is the profile sync. And in this case, I will use Mixpanel profile destination, and I will send all the data that we have. Now, imagine somebody is browsing through our website and they browse, they tap on the forms, they interact with a couple of forms, but eventually they manage to send out one of these forms. So with the last event, we get the property email, and I can use this property for that particle profile from this on. So I can send it to Mixpanel, it stitches everything together, and then going forward, I will see in Mixpanel this particular user with its proper email. Now, this identity stitching is pretty interesting. I can show you how it's displayed here. It shows email. It's coming from all these sources to one specific profile. I can check the profile. I can check myself as I'm working here. I will do a lot of interactions on a website. You can see I've used a lot of different emails, and the system stitches all this together and we can understand it. Speaking about destination, another destination I'm using is HubSpot for profile search. HubSpot is used by our Salesforce, and especially this information you see here can be very useful for them in HubSpot. So they don't have to go to Pipes. They actually should not go to Pipes, but I can decide to send, for example, this attribute or failed forms or all website engagements as custom fields to HubSpot. So when a salesperson is reaching out to a prospect, they will understand all the history that happened even before they submitted the form with the email. And last thing I wanted to show you is if you are not B2B, but more B2C, then you'll be interested in destinations as conversion APIs. So we got one of them set up for Facebook. It can be conversion API for LinkedIn as well. The advantage is that when somebody comes to your website from your ads, they might drop off the session. They might re-engage later. So they might be, we will have basically their Facebook click ID stored, but we will not know their email until they send out the form. Now in Pipes, everything gets stitched together. My destination Meta Conversions API automatically uses email hash for me, so I don't have to worry about anything. It just sends the hash to email, off email to Facebook in a format that Facebook accepts, and I can see the conversions in Facebook. So that's it from me, and I'll give it back to Vojta to guide you through some more advanced stuff.
All right. Thanks a lot for this practical application of Pipes. And let's get into more like technical details, because I think that some of you are not only interested in what you can do with that, but also how you can actually make sure that it's reliable and where it can actually run. So let's deep dive into more like operations and principles of architecture and where and how we can run it. So the first thing is health of the platform. We are absolutely not a black box, meaning that every queue that we have inside a product, anything that it needs to be monitored is actually monitored and it's transparent to you. So you will always see what is happening in your instance. If you have a Black Friday and you have peaks, you will see them here. So every queue that we have, we are totally transparent on the speed of how fast we are processing the data, what is the current delay, and what is the size of the queue. So you don't have to guess it. You don't have to write to the customer support. You will see it here. At the same time, I know this can be quite boring to look at the dashboards like this, and that's why we actually have an agentic heartbeat, which is an AI agent that is monitoring continuously for you not only those queues and how fast they are processing, but also anomalies in the data collection. So if you are expecting the data to be coming in and suddenly there is a huge drop, which is unexpected, then it will actually let you know. At the same time, anytime there is any problem, we have the system errors page where we aggregate everything that is out of ordinary in the system. So we can actually categorize it by errors by different features. So if there is a problem in profile destinations, like for example, the API you are sending the data to fails, you will see it here and we can recover from that. And we are very transparent in what is happening. So this is really great from the point of view of monitoring and escalating. Now, how you will know that something happens and where the AI agent actually sends data to, we have actually integration with Teams and with Slack. So the Piper and the Heartbeat agent can actually talk to you over the Teams or Slack. This is really cool. Now we talked a little bit about the secrets. So this is a primitive where you can store the secrets for yourself, which are encrypted, of course, stored just for you. You can bring your own key and you can keep them secure without revealing them to the AI agent and keeping them secure. At the same time, there's, of course, possibility to set up open authentication version 2 providers. So if you have something like Google Ads or Facebook, you can configure it here. And of course, you can define the data warehouse connections. All of this is very important because when you want to, for example, deploy to development environment and then promote it to the production, we are able to export the whole configuration of the whole Pipes instance into a single JSON form, and then in the production environment, import it from this file while ignoring the secrets because you don't want the secrets in the configuration. So the only thing that you need to do in the production is design the secrets for the production, and then you can use GitOps or CLI to actually take it from the development into the production in automated way. So this is really nice. In the terms of the AI, we have possibility to set a system key. So if you are using the product managed by Meiro, we can set it up for you. You can use your own custom key, or you can disable the AI functionality altogether. So if we are deploying to your on-premise or private cloud, you can keep everything to yourself and we don't need to see anything. So this is really, really nice. I mentioned something about command line interface, about the CLI. So this is like the one last thing I wanted to show you. And it's basically teaching AI how to use the whole platform as you saw it right now. You can, of course, use the Piper here and let him help you to design your sources, pipes, destinations, and help you with debugging and everything. But you still need to go to the product in order to use it, right? Well, you don't have to, because you can just take this URL. You see what I did there? I basically just took the domain and wrote a /skill in it. And this is a skill with many subskills for each feature that we have in the pipes, and with a guide on how to install the CLI for your agent. So if you really want to use the skill and the CLI, all you need to do is go to the API tokens, generate a token, so you can give this token to your AI agent and give him a link to the skill, and he will set it up for you. He will install the CLI and will be able to access the instance. What you see right now, the very, very scary black screen, is actually cloud code. We can use it in the desktop application for nice layout, but I am like a nerd a little bit, so I like using command line interface. And here I told my cloud code agent to actually create a new pipe and event destination that sends all events from a Meiro store as a post request to this URL. And it loaded the skill. You can see here the skill pipes delivery events loaded. It created a plan. It created the secret for me, because this is CLI. This is not internal Piper. So the CLI can do whatever the user can do. And then it actually tested the destination, tested the pipe, set it up. It saw some validation error. It fixed it all in, I guess, 2 minutes. And we are done. So it actually wrote to me like, this is what I did, created secret, destination, pipe from the Meiro store into my new destination. It even verified end-to-end with a ping test event, because for every feature we have a dedicated debugger. So it's available on the API, so it's available to the AI agent. And it tested the integration, and in 2 minutes I have a new destination with a new pipe, completely created by AI agents. So if you are building your own company AI agents, you just simply have to copy the URL, create the API token, and you can start designing stuff and sending stuff, routing stuff. As easy as that. You don't have to even go to the user interface in the end. But for that, I will leave for another time, because we have colleagues who are actually creating new stuff in pipes, and a little sneak peek in audiences and in Meiro Engage, completely using AI agents without ever going to the product. So stay tuned for that.
Thank you, Vito.
I think that was quite exhaustive. Thank you very much for the attention, for sitting with us, and see you with the next one.
See you in the next one.